Marfoogle TV live in 3. All right, Trump says he's considering pulling out the U.S. out of Paper Tiger NATO. U.S. President Donald Trump is reportedly considering the U.S. out of NATO in the latest threat to America's allies after the reluctance to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. In an interview with the Telegraph newspaper, the president described the 77-year-old defensive alliance as, quote, a paper tiger. And when asked if he would reconsider the U.S.'s membership in the bloc after an Iran conflict ends, Trump told the paper, said, "Oh, yes, I would say it's beyond reconsideration. I was never swayed by NATO. I always knew that they were a paper tiger, and Putin knows that too." By the way, he said, of course, he also made a comment there that he does not want to. Officials are also in the view that Trump's war on Iran is the one of choice and that the one is not consulted. There's also reluctance to get involved in what could become another, quote, forever war in the Middle East, like those in Iraq and Afghanistan. So everything that is going on right here with this NATO thing and the actual announcement that just happened today, I believe there is a very big message behind this. And this is done on a Wednesday where the market is about to make some really squirrely moves. We'll talk about this and much, much more on today's show. We're going to talk about China. We're going to talk about, of course, what is happening with Iran right now, the big explosions that just happened, and all of the other breaking news from the last 24 hours. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Rich and the greedy got the head start. All you can hope for is to play a part. When this future storm comes, tell you what, I'm not gonna run. Rich and the greedy. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Okay, so let's talk about the IDF and what just happened. And again, there's videos all over the internet right now on X of places in Iran that are going boom, but not just boom, like boom.
The IDF struck a factory that transferred chemical substances used in the Iranian regime's development of their chemical weapons on Tuesday. So the Israeli Air Force struck and killed Mahdi Vafari, the head of the Quds Force Lebanon Corps Engineering Branch, in a targeted strike in the Malat area of Iran overnight. That's the other announcement they made. Vafari was a key figure in the establishment of the infrastructure of the Hezbollah and as well as the Assad regime in Syria, and managed dozens of underground weapons storage projects throughout Lebanon. The IDF also struck a factory that transferred the chemical substance used in Iran's regime development of chemical weapons on Tuesday. So the factory was owned by the Torfk Daru company, a principal supplier of, well, get this, the FENT, and for the Organization of Defense Innovation and Research, the SPND, which is Iran's Defense Ministry Development Agency. Of course, all this is coming out of Israel, so it's what they're telling us, but rather interesting if true.
Yeah, and we have Trump officials prepping for a nightmare scenario where oil hits $150 a barrel. Now, if you haven't noticed, the pumps are absolutely crazy as is. As of a couple days ago, it was like $6.19 where I got gas. And that was, I think, the mid-grade stuff. Like, I think the cheap station across the street was literally like 10 cents under that. So, I mean, that's just absurd. I live in Washington where there's extra taxes, but right now it's already hitting us. And of course, that's hitting food. That's hitting all of the trucks that are bringing the supply lines. It's already crazy. That's at whatever the barrels are now. At $150 a barrel, that's absolutely insane. White House officials are bracing for oil surges to surge past the $150 a barrel mark as the Iran war stretches into its second month. The Strait of Hormuz remains largely closed. In recent weeks, the average cost of a barrel of crude has hovered around $100, a figure that the Trump administration now sees as the new baseline, though potential spikes to $200 hasn't been ruled out, a source familiar with the matter told Politico. It says they're trying to come up with every conceivable idea that might alleviate energy prices, including the exercise of emergency powers and authorities and national defense reasons to address the supply chain disruption from the Strait of Hormuz. So this is a massive, massive deal. Not only does, I mean, people don't understand, even a small change in this can just absolutely send reverberations. But a massive change like this is something that can literally destroy families, destroy people, have people stepping off bridges. That's the kind of thing that this kind of surge could do. We're already kind of at that point with the last 5-6 years, but now it's more of a storm. Now with this announcement today, there is all sorts of things that are going to happen tomorrow morning when the market reopens. I think that, obviously my opinion is a lot different than a lot of others. I believe that this is not going to be a 2 or 3 week thing. I think that they are telling people that in this announcement for a specific purpose, maybe to jumpstart and try to see what they're going to do in Europe and UK and the rest of these countries that depend on the oil. If they are going to then go, hey, okay, we're going to jump in and we're going to help with the Strait of Hormuz. Because the Strait of Hormuz staying closed is not going to, it can't happen. It just can't stay there forever. And the announcement by the Australian and the UK Prime Minister basically came out and they both made big changes to their country to try to alleviate the hurt from this. Including the UK Prime Minister, I believed he said he was going to freeze gas prices for a year. And if that's true or whatever he froze for a year, that would be insane. That can't be right, Dex. Can he freeze gas prices for a year? Or am I misquoting half of it? Like what did he freeze for a year?
Yeah, I don't know what their laws are there. Maybe the taxes on it or something. But yeah. But look, doesn't this also, like when you look back and you think about Venezuela, we thought it was for the drugs, and then it's for the criminal, the head of the gang and all that. What if it was really about the oil and getting the oil from Venezuela and making sure that we lock up the second largest resource of oil in the world, right? So that combined with our own oil makes sure that we're sitting in a pretty good position when the time comes to take Iran out. And that time came right after we took Venezuela.
Yeah, obviously it's like a 4D chess game, right? And they looked at like, well, why can't we take on Iran? Why can't we take Iran out? Iran was a part of this bigger picture with Russia and China. Like all of this, I believe, ends at China. It all ends at China, and they're looking at one piece at a time. And I believe they probably have AI simulating far out, what would happen if this happened, and what happens if this and this and this happened, and then what would be the future result of that. And they're looking 50 steps ahead, and then that's how they're making their plans. They're making these plans based on simulations that go super far out. That's why it seems so scripted, because it is. They're looking at what, if they do this, what happens there, and vice versa, and all of these different things. So they probably looked at Iran. They said, if we're going to do this, well, then this is going to happen. The Strait of Hormuz is going to close. They knew that the Strait of Hormuz was going to be a bargaining chip. This was talked about in freaking, authored books, 12, 15, 20 years ago. It's been talked about forever about the Strait of Hormuz. So having it being a bargaining chip with Iran. So now that this is happening, I think, Dex, you have a great point. Lock down the oil and what's going on in Venezuela. That was a pre-step. Venezuela was also a big part of China and all of that. Cuba and all of these other parties are all part of this same thing that all leads back to an eventual war with China. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Great point. By the way, Revelation. Let's see. I can't see the whole thing here. Why won't it let me see that? Revelation, I'll just say Revelation. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super. I appreciate it. And thank you for supporting Independent. Thank you, Suzu. Thank you, Hanson. Thank you, Country Kind of Crazy. Yeah, that's a perfect name for right now. Nick Jazz, Sean CTX, JC, nice to see you here. Dave, we've got a lot of newer names too. Joseph, thank you for being here. Old School, Dragonfire, what is going on? And thank you, Mods, Bobby Sue. Thank you. And then Gillian Mason and of Hope Between the Dreams. Prayers and love to all. Music heals. Hey, thank you. Rip Curl Readiness. Nice to see you modding in the house tonight. And then Amarillo Gunrunner says there was never an Iran nuke and we weren't fighting drug dealers in Venezuela. It's all about China. It is. And it's about oil and it's about, I think it's a long game. I think it's all about resources and, big things are about to happen. But the other side, crazy thing that I don't think everybody believes, but I believe, is that there may be something that we don't know about that is coming down the road that is very, very serious, and that is why all of the countries are locking down either their neighbors. And I've talked about this for 5-6 years, how every neighbor found out something like 6, 7, 8 years ago and started looking at their neighbors and started looking at everybody else's resources. It wasn't just a strain in the times. I think they all saw that something was about to come. And they realized that they needed resources. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. All right.
Well, it saves that petrodollar if we're selling Venezuela oil to China, right? Or at least we told them they could keep buying it, but they just weren't getting it off market, right?
Yeah.
And now if let's just hypothetically say we take Karg Island and all of a sudden we got control of Iran's oil. That's a huge hit to China. Now, it doesn't mean that we would not give them oil, but we certainly could take it and make money off of it, and then force it to become U.S. dollar traded, and then the petrodollar is back, the U.S. dollar is back. There's no more of all this effort from China and the others to unseat America.
Yeah, with this entire situation happening right now, I hope that people are prepared for the unobvious to happen instead of the obvious. Before we move on, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use code MARF to get $50 off per device. That's going to protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats against an EMP and a Carrington level event. All right. And let's see here. We've got, is Trump planning a ground invasion of Iran on Good Friday? So this lines up with exactly what Dex and I were talking about. This is, the whole Wednesday speech thing. I absolutely could, see everything that the president said. In fact, over here on X, it's such an obvious thing because of how the president's been talking that this was half an hour before, right? It says, no matter what Trump says in 30 minutes now, there will be a ground invasion. This is my opinion. This is a market pump fake, and I believe Good Friday will be more likely the kickoff. You don't send in double your fleet of warthogs to not back up your close quarters infantry. In fact, actually, it was a reply to somebody much earlier than that. I said, still today for us, let's see here. Yeah. We will say that we are backing out of the Strait, and this is before the announcement. We're backing out of the Strait, market pumped on a Wednesday, while simultaneously sending in infantry, backing warthogs to double our fleet in the Middle East. Good Friday, when the market is done, everything else will start. UK and Australia were preemptive, calming this before the storm. My wording might be off as I watched both of the prior announcement, but it's really clear this is just the beginning of a serious pump fake by the U.S. This war will not wind down. Same playbook, same play. Market will surge tomorrow, actually, and drop on Friday with the 3-day weekend. In coming week, we will see even bigger strikes, and we will see the ground invasion, no matter how the media wants it to look right now. And I read that because I am not good with my words today. But this is what I believe. I think that you don't do an announcement like this without some sort of angle on it, especially on a Wednesday. Friday, with that 3-day weekend, like Dex said. I mean, Dex, why would that be a perfect time for a Friday invasion? Why is that even being thought about now?
I mean, if you think you could do something in a short amount of time and get the negative turned into a positive quickly, then if you started it on a Friday, you could finish it up, not finish it, but get over the hump of the negativity through the weekend before the markets open on Monday. It gives you a long weekend. It's probably the only time you're going to have. You also have a lot of, it is a slow week, the week before, the week after Easter, because you've got, here in America, you've got spring break. So a lot of people are out on vacations and things like that, even though it's hard to travel right now with gas prices and airfare or airport wait times. But yeah, I mean, those are all the reasons why, this weekend would actually line up if you wanted to control the narrative or try to minimize the effect. Now, doesn't mean that's it's always about that. Sometimes it's about strategy and making sure you've got the right troops in place. And maybe that doesn't happen for another week or two. But yeah, this weekend could very well be it.
Because his thing is to keep you guessing. And it is incredible how many people will flip-flop exactly what they think based on his current statement. He has been saying certain things to completely conflict with what he prior said because it is confusing. It's a tactic. I mean, this is obviously a tactic not only to confuse the world, but to confuse all our enemies and to what's going on. This was a quote: "The troop deployments are real. They are in motion. And once they start, there's almost a strange inevitability to them based on how President Trump has used them in the past." He's got all of this stuff heading there. He's got more heading there. Another carrier set to go there. It's still on its way. And people think that this is all going to be over. And just the announcement makes people feel all good and fuzzy. But that's not what it is going to happen. Well, he's made this exact kind of announcement before, and it does work. It confuses.
Yeah, remember when they kicked it off on the 28th of February? Right before then, they were in negotiations, and then boom, so out of nowhere, surprise attack, so to speak.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And he said they're gonna come to the table, and this is gonna work out. It's almost a tell at this point, but maybe he knows that it's a tell at this point. Maybe he does it so many times in a row and then does it for real at one point in the future. And then people will think it's the same play and it's not. Yeah, this is definitely a very crazy time, but I say use your gut to see through it. This isn't the end. We can't leave it the way we just left it. There's no way. But we can try to do things and tactics to try to get our allies to jump in. And I think that this could also be that. We could be trying to get the allies to say, okay, screw it. Yeah, I guess we have to. Maybe that's the thing. Or, like Dex said earlier, a potential possibility that they're coordinated. And the Australian Prime Minister and the UK Prime Minister saying what they're saying is to add to the realism. So the enemies think that we are actually going to pull out in a couple weeks. Or to make other allies. Maybe they worked with the UK and said, hey, we need your other UK, the other NATO allies to jump in here. Will you help the realism of this? Of course, they have good intelligence too. So if they're making an announcement like that, they know something is coming. Maybe others will follow suit and say, okay, well, we might want to jump in. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinion. But yeah, there's a lot here to say that this very well may get very spicy this weekend. That is our prediction. And then Iran denies Trump's claim it requested ceasefire, calling it false and baseless. Well, of course, it's always the opposite of what we say is happening. Iran says the opposite as well. Iran Foreign Ministry says that President Donald Trump's claim that the country has asked for a ceasefire is false and baseless. Iranian state TV is reporting the remarks having been said by a foreign ministry spokesman, Esmail. I can't even say that. It comes after Trump said earlier in a Truth Social post that Iran's new regime president, who he did not name, had asked for a ceasefire and that he would consider it when Hormuz Strait was open, free, and clear. In a letter addressed to the people of the United States of America, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says Iran never initiated a war, despite what he describes an enduring occupation and invasion. The letter's publication comes hours after the President Trump claimed that Iran's new regime president, without clarifying who he was referring to, had asked the U.S. for a ceasefire. So, are they asking for one and they're lying about it, or are we stating this? Is this some sort of part of market manipulation, or is it just a tactical lie to try to further a goal that we don't know about and we can't see from 40,000 feet? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, talk about the Russian governor orders firms to select workers to join military.
How about that? So you're at your job and the boss says, guess what? We picked you. You're going to join the military. This is a new tactic. So a Russian governor has ordered large firms in his region to shortlist employees as candidates for the military service in a rare push for business to get involved with the recruitment. The order, signed by Pavel Malkov, the governor of Ryazan, a region of 130 miles southeast of Moscow, instructed companies with 150 more workers to select their employees by September 20th. So imagine that.
Yeah. Imagine going to the Christmas party and they're like, hey, Bob, Tom. Oh, yeah, by the way, these guys are here to see you. Can you just step out for a second? Yeah, step out with us and have a smoke. Oh, yeah, Bob and Tom are gone. All right, Vlad and Flad. All right, and then FBI declares suspected Chinese hack of U.S. surveillance system in a major cyber incident. Before I talk about this, I want to say I'm still Cat. Thank you so much, and thank you for 12 months of membership and a super. Thank you, and thank you for supporting Independent. Tree Hooker, nice to see you here as well. Israel, one way, I say I'll take the week off, Labor Day off, make them feel the pain we feel every day. WIS Jan, thank you. Ilea, nice to see you. Paul Apostle, Ilea, I don't know when you got here, but yeah, I would love to hear your opinion on what do you thought about the prior two announcements and then what Trump says. What do you think's going on? And then Rion Soup, thank you so much, says, hi, Adam. Hey, nice to see you. And J Pass James says they all lie. I mean, it is expected at this point. We just have to kind of guess which lie is less lie. Yeah, but so this hack, the FBI last week deemed a recent China-linked cyber intrusion into a sensitive agency surveillance system a major incident, meaning it poses significant risk to U.S. national security. There is there's a threshold for whether they can call that this, and it means that there could be demonstrable harm in the future. The FBI determined that the intrusion meets the definition of a major incident under the federal data security statute known as FISMA, said all three people. Congress was informed of the decision earlier this week, according to the aide. The determination suggests that the hackers successfully compromised swaths of sensitive data stored directly on FBI systems, likely marking a major counterintelligence coup for China. FISMA requires agencies to tell lawmakers within 7 days about any digital intrusion it has determined likely to result in demonstrable harm to U.S. national security. Cynthia Kaiser, the former Deputy Assistant Director of FBI Cyber Division, said that she is not aware of the FBI making any such determination, basically denying. Right? Thresholds under FISMA are quite high, and only a few agencies declare a major cyber incident every year. So what they're stating is whatever happened was pretty big. They're talking about sensitive data that could literally put us into a harm's way. The notice also said affected system contained returns from legal process such as pen register and trap and trace surveillance returns and personally identifiable information pertaining to subjects of FBI investigations. So, and some of you on, one half of the room, if you believe that they're watching some high up politicians and they've got some dirt on them, then if they did access something like that, could we see leaks in the near future from China? Not from us, that puts somebody right in harm's way. Could you imagine if there are some super, super high up people that are in power that have their dirt out in the open, what they could do to possibly distract us or stop us from seeing something like that? That's a scary thing as well. The incident is yet another stark reminder that the threat from sophisticated cyber adversaries like China have not gone away. In fact, it's growing more aggressive by the day, Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Official Committee, said. So yeah, they hosted a meeting about the breach that included officials from the FBI, NSA, CISA in early March, according to the first U.S. official and third U.S. So this was in the last month that they, in fact, just the last couple of weeks that this happened. So, and there is also, again, we've got a story that goes hand in hand with this in 1 second. I do want to remind you guys of that. But make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/Jace. Again, this is a kit that has all of your most commonly prescribed antibiotics in it. You can, of course, do this with a simple appointment via phone, tablet, or other device. You'll get to talk to a board-certified doctor and get this kit sent straight to your door. It's very, very convenient, especially if we have a situation where you can't go to the hospital or you can't go to the pharmacy. Something happens where the roads are out or you're stuck behind a wall of fire like people in California or Hawaii. If you have this on hand, it is much more convenient than, say, not having it and having something you need it for. marfooglenews.com/Jace. Make sure to use code MARF to not only save money, but also to save us. All right. And then Palantir CTO warns U.S. only has 8 days of weapons in hypothetical battle against China. Dex, do you want to explain this and why this is really, it's alarming, especially if there's any truth to it, but also why this matters as far as a battle with China goes?
Yeah, I mean, look, just the lack of having enough stockpile of weapons and the fact that we're using so much of them. But the U.S. is wrong about military deterrence. According to Palantir CTO Shyam Sankar, America relies on the threat of its large weapon stockpiles to discourage aggression. But Sankar says that the real deterrent is production capacity, the ability to regenerate the stockpile. In an interview he said he argued that the artificial intelligence could help the United States rebuild manufacturing strength, outproduce adversaries, and restore its edge over the global rivals like China, as he expands on that, obviously to his benefit, being that he's an AI company. But the conflict in Ukraine is proof that the U.S. is getting the calculus of deterrence wrong. We thought it was that the stockpile that would provide deterrence. And what Ukraine showed us is, because we went through 10 years of production and 10 weeks of fighting, is that it's actually the ability to generate the stockpile. It's the factory, he said. And we've been producing, as he goes on to say, so few weapons at such a small rate that actually it's not effectively scary to anyone. We're both precious about using them and worried about rebuilding them. Although I would say we may not be so much the last 30 days. We just used a whole boatload of them in Middle East. But back to his point, if it takes us a long time to even rebuild and repackage those weapons, that's a big issue. So he claimed that if it came to an intense battle against China, the United States would have around 8 days worth of weapons on hand. That's not scaring the adversary, he said. Sanger pointed at World War II as an example of this. Germany was able to build more sophisticated weapons than America, but in much smaller quantities, he said. In the present moment, the Chinese are at the best at mass production, and now we look like the Germans. So that's an interesting take on it.
And this is not classified stuff. If you're wondering, like, why is he coming out with this? Because, hey, why is he coming out with how many weapons we have? So it is based on how big, and they can simulate there's public knowledge that can give you the math on what we are potentially able to do. And as far as a war with China is a whole other story. So a full-on war with China is massive. We do know how many tanks they have, how many troops they have, how many planes they have, how many this. Of course, there are surprises, just like as there has been surprises going back to every war. But World War II, in fact, even Adolf Hitler was surprised when he saw, who was it he was fighting that, the Russians. He was surprised when the Russians, everybody said that there were 35,000 tanks. There's an audio tape of him saying, everybody said that they had 35,000 tanks. I said, you're seeing ghosts, you're crazy. You need to go to the crazy house. He goes, but then I saw it for myself, and he was set back. He couldn't believe it. Adolf Hitler was unbelievably blown away that Russia had secretly manufactured and essentially done it in almost no time. Manufactured super fast, 35,000 tanks. And this is also a great story because it totally relates to what we're talking about here. He relates us to being Germany. He says, in this case, we are the Germany because of how much China can produce. China is the manufacturing, center of the planet. They are so set up. I mean, when you think of places like India is doing about 5 or 6% capacity of what China is doing. When you think about how much India can produce and how much it can manufacture and how everything that doesn't say made in China, it says a couple other small Asian countries, and then it says India. They're at 5 or 6% of what China can do. Their infrastructure is set up for it. Their roads are set up for it. Everything is set up for it. There's a reason. It's not just so they can look cool and have LED lights on all of their buildings that they've been putting all of their money into infrastructure. This is why President Xi Jinping said that the war with the U.S. is going to be an all-country event. He said that we are going to integrate civilian and military into one when we go to war with the U.S. That's because it's all going to become part of one. The manufacturing here is the scary part with China. Is it doesn't matter if you have the most advanced weapon in the world, if you have a boat with a laser that can just slice through a mountain, if that mountain of mountain slicing boat is there and you have 20,000 drones that it can go through as fast as it can go through, but that 20,000th and first drone hits it, then it's gone. And that's the problem. I mean, if you can imagine the war we're going on with Iran and they've been stockpiling, imagine what China is doing with the almost as much money as we have. I can't imagine. Look at what Russia is capable, and they put half of their $2 trillion GDP into their military. Imagine what the fricking Chinese have been doing, and much of it secretly. They've been hiding a lot of stuff. But so when they look at this kind of stuff, he's not giving away classified information. And I bet you, and this is Palantir, that's the scary part of who they're working with, everything else. But they also have simulations that are going out. They have the most insane artificial intelligence working on these problems and doing simulations. And that's the scary part. Iran doesn't scare me. China scares me. Most definitely one of the scariest things out there. They are battling on every front, including on the front to capture your mind and to capture your, love for China. Gosh, I mean, just look at Jackson Hinkle's X account and every other account that's just like him, praising them and saying that it's the best country in the world and communism is amazing. Yeah. You can't walk down the street and say the government sucks. You can't even write it. All right. And thank you. I appreciate that, by the way. Milosh, 13 months. Civis Pasern Palabellum. OHIO. Thanks, Adam, Dex, and Marf. Thank you. And Mods. Thank you. I appreciate that. Amarillo Gunrunner, thank you again. And then, of course, Hope Between Your Dreams, Revelation of the Mystery. That's what it was. L. Davis, thank you so much in Revelation of the Mystery. Again, thank you early on in the show. But yeah, Sankar gave China credit for its long-term planning, claiming that it has been investing in closing the gap between its military and America's since the first Gulf War. He said China hasn't attempted to hide these investments, but due to the slow speed of progress, the U.S. hardly takes note. AI then can give America edge once more because China can not have planned for it. Sankar advocated for reshoring industrial development, but not solely for the purpose of bringing rote manufacturing process to American soil. He asserted that this is the key to strengthening America's national security and spirit of invention. We're not going to reindustrialize I'm not trying to make fun of anybody here. It says we're not just going to take the things that they're doing as they're doing them and bring them here. No, we're going to do them in entirely different ways that help us close the business case on bringing all of these capabilities in production back home. The central lie of globalization is that we can do the innovation and other folks are going to do the production. But if you do that for long enough, what you realize is their work will weigh up the stack. So yeah, this is not a convenient thing to see happening. All right, and then Dex, the liftoff. I know, Ilea, you ended up watching this, the Artemis launch, and they launched astronauts to go circle the moon again.
Yeah, so it was been talked about for months now. It's been delayed a few times, and some even suggested it might not make it today, but it did. At least they got lifted off, and they're in the midst of, I guess, orbiting the Earth. And as this article from NASA itself says, spurred by American ingenuity, astronauts on NASA's Artemis 2 mission are in flight, preparing for the first crewed lunar flyby in more than 50 years, as some people say. Maybe not. Maybe it's the first time ever, but who knows? But NASA SLS, the Space Launch System, a rocket, lifted off from Launch Pad 39B at Agency Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 6:35 p.m. today, sending 4 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft on a planned test flight around the moon and back. Today's launch marks a defining moment in our nation, and for all who believe in exploration, Artemis 2 builds on the vision set by President Donald Trump to returning humanity to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years and opening the next chapter of lunar exploration beyond Apollo. Aboard Orion are 4 remarkable explorers preparing for the first crewed flight of this rocket and spacecraft, a true test mission that will carry them further and faster than any humans in a generation, said the NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman. Artemis 2 is a start of something bigger than any one mission. It marks our return to the moon, not just to visit, but to eventually stay on our moon base, and lays the foundation for the next giant leaps. Now, apparently the distance they're traveling is also setting a record, because they're going to go further than anybody has ever traveled before. I know if you subscribe to the theory that we did land on the moon, that we did travel to the moon and back, but apparently the distance that they're going is even further, because they're doing a large flyby, as well as, I guess, the orbits around Earth. And it's causing them to take a much larger distance, and it'll be the furthest distance that any astronauts have ever done.
Now, what I don't understand is, so if you didn't see the White House tweet, right, this was actually a repost that they put out. They said the goal is not to just reach the moon, but to stay. And it says America will never give up the moon again. And something, it just keeps sitting with me. What do you mean? Who did we give it up to? And are we going to run into China there? Did they have the far side of the moon all set up with, Nike manufacturers? Like, what the hell is, what do you mean give it up again? Or just leave it? Like, why would they use that wordage? And they always use this. This is Jared Isaacman, the same guy that was quoted in that article. This was about a week ago. Says, to return Americans to the moon, NASA is shifting into an iterative execution-focused approach, just as we did during Apollo. We are standardizing rocket architecture, embedding NASA expertise across industry. So they are actually going in all sorts of other businesses. That they're actually basically sending this spider web out into everything. This says something big is going on, in my opinion, an increasing launch cadence to support sustained lunar operations. We are sending a demand signal for crewed missions beyond Artemis 5, with at least 2 providers capable of bringing astronauts to the surface every 6 months. The goal is not to just reach the moon, but to stay. America will never give up the moon again. I don't understand, what do you mean give it up? And there's some on the UFO side that say, we got kicked off the moon or told not to come back for a long time. Some believe we've never been there. I mean, I don't believe we've, as far as the official story, I don't believe my opinion that we didn't actually land on the moon during that time. But who knows if they have got secret bases up there, whatever. What I do see, though, is the White House has robots coming out saying that, these different initiatives like the president's wife bringing out a robot. I see robots like that being used to possibly make a base up there, sending robots up there to build something. Obviously, there's a lot of debate about whether they can even get there. There's actual studies studying the Van Allen. There's a lot of folks that do not believe that this is even possible. So just hypothetically, say they are launching up there every 6 months. Is there anything nefarious behind it? What is actually happening here? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, and that was Jared Isaacman. But yeah, what do you guys think? I'd love to hear it. And then the three different addresses that happened, I did want to say,
in the Middle East.
Let me turn this down a little bit. I did want to point out a couple parts here.
And freedom of navigation in the Middle East, aggressive rhetoric. They worry that the UK will be dragged into this. We won't. But I also know that people have a deep sense that this will affect their family and their household. They can see it at the petrol pumps, and they worry about their energy bills. It is the job of government to meet these moments, not just with immediate action, but also with clarity about our direction.
No, I'm trying to find the part here.
And say, business as usual. Cutting energy bills by over £100 per household today.
Oh, yeah, I want to see
We've extended the cut in fuel duty until September, and we're monitoring that situation daily. We're supporting people exposed to heating oil rises, setting aside £53 million for that. We're taking back control of our energy security by investing in clean British energy, because that is the only way we get your bills off the roller coaster that is controlled by Putin and the Iranian regime. And frankly, I'm sick and tired of your energy bills fluctuating up and down. Because we're on the international market.
Yeah,
when if we took control of our energy and had homegrown renewables, we could stabilise your bills. And finally, as I say, we'll continue to push for de-escalation in the Middle East. But look, there's also a bigger argument here, because every one of these measures is part of a long-term plan to make our country more secure and more resilient to shocks like this.
Let me see if it's right here at the beginning.
As the country comes together, immediate crisis. We're cutting energy bills by over £100 crisis. So on our economy, on our energy and on our defence, this time will be different. We will make Britain a fairer and more secure country, because that hope is what is needed as the country comes together.
I want to see
how we emerge from this crisis. For £100 per household kit, that price is now fixed until July.
Oh yeah, so he does keep going.
I mean, just look at what's happening today. Today, your energy bills will be cut because of the action that we took at the budget. And
and then he starts pointing out, by the way, he says
this volatile path, our long-term national interest requires closer partnership with our allies in Europe and with the European Union. Now we have made progress on this front, on agriculture, electricity, emissions, 35 EU partners. And I can tell you that at that summit, the UK will not just ratify existing commitments made at last year's summit. We want to be more ambitious.
Now, as far as this speech goes, you'll have to watch this over here. I'm not going to sit here and scroll through the whole thing, but you obviously saw that both of them predictively put out there that they're essentially going to lock down what most people were going to freak out about. Everybody around the planet watching President Trump saying, hey, we're going to leave it up to you. That tells everybody in Europe, oh crap, now we have to go jump in, otherwise we are going to be screwed. But I think that this is not what's going to happen. All of our stuff is over there, that we're going to continue this war. And who knows, maybe in 3 weeks we can take out everything. But we are most definitely about to ratchet up this war before it ends. So if there are 3 weeks left of us putting our stuff in, it's still not over today. People took the announcement by Trump today as that it was over, but it is not over. It's not like they're stopping today and everything's coming home. This is going to continue. Dex, real quick, as far as the president saying that he's going to back out, didn't he say something about 3 weeks or two or 3 weeks? He was putting a kind of a number out there.
Yeah, he said that he thought that they would be done in 2 to 3 weeks. He said that's about how much time is left in finishing up. He basically said it's done. We're way ahead of schedule, and we're probably got a couple to 3 weeks left or something like that. But there's also that notion of, what does it mean to leave? Like, is he going to get the strait open? He did say that he thought the strait would open naturally after they took care of business. But at the same time, I think he also threw it out there that, people like the UK, if they want their gas, they need to go get it. They need to go. He said, you need to either come buy it from us because we got plenty of it, or you can go to the Strait of Hormuz and get it yourself, he said.
Steve Click says, I think the moon is the earth in the end, dead and bombed. The sun is the earth in the beginning, as heaven is, which is what it will go back to. The two together are the hands of time, sun/moon. Thank you, Steve Click, and I appreciate that. I hope that we don't end up that bombed out like that. But one thing we do know is that the very, very, very rich are planning for something. What building was this that you pegged here on this map, by the way? That's Downing Street? No way.
10 Downing. It's where the Prime Minister is.
Do you guys see what's here?
Well, that's not Downing. It's the little side of it. Yeah.
Well, this is
next to it.
This is the palace, right? Or what is this?
No, that's not the palace. It's right there by it.
This is Downing Street.
10 Downing is.
But this is a government building, right? Or is
they're all government buildings.
Yeah. Look at this triangle.
I might be wrong. It could be that big thing, but I thought it was the little one. One of them is.
No, this is. You're right. It's across the street, but it's in this alley. It's such a weird. Like their equivalent of White House is just weird. Yeah,
and one of them is. What's his name? The cigar smoker. Churchill's bunker is right there too, somewhere.
Yeah. Look at the masonry. What is the dang word? Look at that. That's super obvious, the way that they did that. It's what are the things you use for architecture? The two pointed. Somebody in chat, save me. What is the thing called?
Retractor, compass.
Retractor, isn't it? Yeah, compass, right? Every word just doesn't sound like it's right. If you see it right here, it's. Let me scroll down. Actually, I realize you guys are seeing a little bit of a different picture. Look at that, right here. The two P's are the two sides. What a weird design in the middle, though. Are those like horns? I don't know. Scale and compass, yeah. Masonic, square. Yeah, I was looking for the word square. That's what was in my brain. But yeah, look at that. And it goes up, and then there's kind of almost looks like a temple, like a house-shaped thing, even in the shape of the roof. You don't see it from the big picture, but they obviously... After I watched that special on King Charles' garden and stuff and how he did the designs in the gardens, now I look at the gardens at some of these government buildings because they do love their gardens. Very clear that is the case. Yeah. Very odd. All right. How convenient, says Big Tex. Make sure to go check this out if you haven't already. Of course, marfooglenews.com/prep is a place where you can get not only a 3-month kit of food for less than what it would go for 2 weeks of regular food at marfooglenews.com/prep. This is freeze-dried food that will last 25 years. It is an awesome, affordable way to get those kits. You can get all the way down to a single meal if you want, but again, there's a 72-hour kit that's good for a go bag. Go check it out, marfooglenews.com/prep. No code is needed, just the website, marfooglenews.com/prep. The best deals are on the 1 month and the 3 month. If you take the 3 month, break that down, think about it, that's a month for 3 people or a month and a half for 2 people, or again, 3 months for 1 person. It's all set out and laid out for you, so you know you have those those meals set out for you for 3 months. All right, marfooglenews.com/prep. Thank you, Dex, for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys have a wonderful night. We will see you tomorrow. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Tell you what, I'm not gonna run. Rich and the greedy got the head start. All you can hope for is to play a part when this future storm comes. Tell you what, I'm not gonna